People are saying that this is a preview of the $25,000 car from Tesla. And there is actually a pretty good reason to believe this. Tesla made some major changes alongside this new Model 3 rear-wheel drive textile interior option launch in Mexico. Tesla just launched a new Model 3 trim in Mexico, and it's only in Mexico right now. And as you can see, the seats are very different, the material from which it's made of. And in Mexico specifically, it is now the only interior option available on the Model 3 rear-wheel drive. So if you want some of these features, like for example, heated or ventilated seats in the front or the rear, a rear seat screen, not just white ambient interior lighting, but a multicolor lighting, heated steering wheel, acoustic glass on all windows and not just the front window, you will have to buy a more expensive trim, which would be the long-range dual motor all-wheel drive. Here you can compare the new offering versus the old standard sort of leather-like material. There's still a little piece here which looks like leather or something like that, and you can see that the whole headrest is still made of the old leather-like material as well as parts of the seats. And James is saying it's only a matter of time before the rear-wheel drive gets the same treatment in North America as well. Probably not in China, however, because it is the best-selling trim there. It does not even qualify for the IRA in the US. But actually it does qualify for the $7,500 tax credit, but you have to lease it. You don't get it if you just buy it. Although Omar says there's an exception if you buy it for your business. I'm pretty sure that this trim would actually work fairly well in Europe because you do have quite a few cars like that. James is still sticking to his opinion that eventually it makes sense to strip down the lowest trim to help the margin and differentiate it, which will also increase the appeal of the more expensive trims. Someone says this is the cheaper model talked about on the earnings call, and technically it could sort of be, but I really don't think so because it was said that this would happen at the end of 2024 or early next year, and we are not close to the end of the year, so I really don't think this is one of the promised cheaper, more affordable models. But if you want to know how the $25,000 model will look when it comes to the cheapest trim, I think we're getting a pretty good idea here. So it is a bit of a preview of the $25,000 car from Tesla. I don't think the robotaxis will have this textile interior because I think it's a bit harder to clean. You spill something on this kind of seats, good luck cleaning that. I've seen it being done and it can be done, but it's a pain. You got leather, you just wipe it and it's done. And specifically about pricing, it's priced at 749,000 pesos, which is about 40,000 USD. And in Mexico, the long-range all-wheel drive Model 3 is priced at 47,200. Now, in the US, you can actually get the Model 3 for 38,990, so it's actually cheaper, although keep in mind converting from pesos to USD you will have some currency expense. But if you look at the long-range all-wheel drive, it's actually priced pretty much at the same price. So despite stripping down all of these options, Tesla is not really selling the Model 3s for a lower price than it does in the US. But then I looked at the price a bit deeper just to make sure that I didn't miss anything, and I realized, of course there's the exchange rate, but then there's this VAT tax, which is basically a sales tax. And if you remove that, then you get the price equal to about $35,000, making that option actually noticeably cheaper, about $4,000 cheaper than the current Model 3 rear-wheel drive in the US. And in a country like Mexico, where people are definitely going to be more price sensitive, a $4,000 reduction is actually a big deal. Oh, here's some big news. Volkswagen delays launch of flagship EV project Trinity to early 2030s now. Wow. So the ID4, which was previously set to launch in 2026, is now going to launch in 2030s? The reason why the project was delayed is due to software problems at the group's struggling CARIAD subsidiary. But isn't that the easy part, Tesla bears? You just put some software in a car and it just works. But I guess not for Volkswagen. For Volkswagen, this is an absolute disaster. Bernstein's Tony Sacconaghi actually had a few words to say about Tesla today. And earlier in the year, he actually had a Tesla stock price target of $150, which for a moment came true, although he cut it down to $120 back in March, and we haven't reached $120 after that. But for a few short days, we were under $150. With Tesla stock stock, it's a bit crazy how bears and bulls can be somewhat right with their price targets within a span of 12 months. When people over here were saying, some of them, Tesla is going to 250, the bears push back so strongly, and in some cases, the bears and the bulls were both right in a span of just a few months. So that's Tesla stock for you. That's just how it is. Although bears in the long term, they lose big time with Tesla stock. But let's see what he says. Tesla has lost share in all geographies in both xEVs and EVs. By the way, xEVs, that just means hybrids, plug-in hybrids, and fuel cell electric vehicles. He continues, share loss has been most acute in North America. We don't believe that Tesla will be able to regain share or grow materially until it launches all new lower priced offerings, likely only in 2026 and 2027, and believe the company's valuation is increasingly disconnected from prevailing fundamentals. He reiterated an underperform rating for Tesla stock and says that Tesla stock is going down to $120 per share. And he really is saying that Tesla has lost market share every year from 2019 until now. He really went ahead and included plug-in hybrids in this calculation too. So it sounds like Tesla in 2019 was doing much better than it is doing in 2024. Is that right? In 2019, in the whole year, by the way, Tesla delivered 368,000 vehicles. Right now, Tesla delivers more than that in one single quarter. And the plug-in hybrid number included in there. Wow. Well, often Tony at least has some fundamental reasoning behind his arguments, but this one is just a bad argument. At least take out these hybrids and these plug-in hybrids from this calculation. Right now, it just seems like he's just trying to make things look a lot worse than what they actually are. I mean, while you're at it, maybe include the motorcycle market in here too and show how Tesla is doing worse than other companies because it's not selling motorcycles. Plug-in hybrids don't exactly compete with pure battery electric vehicles is what I'm trying to say here. And Chicken Genius even commented on this. He says Tesla does not deserve the $120 price target by Tony Sacconaghi. He bought a BYD vehicle. He owns more than 2 cars. And he's been driving it for a few months. By every metric, he said it's a better car. But then look at what he says here. At the end of the day, I'll choose my Model 3 Performance. It's a more driver-focused car. BYD reminds me of a Lexus. The suspension feels like a boat. Long drives, I'll feel nausea. In my opinion, for daily driving, Tesla makes the best cars in the world. Okay, so how can BYD be better literally by every metric, and yet Tesla actually be better for daily driving? It means it's not better by every metric, maybe by some metrics. For example, he says better turning radius, better seats, cheaper, quieter, bigger glass roof, luxurious interior, no panel gaps. But how do you classify the feeling you get when you drive, or sensing the grip on the tires, or feeling the road connection, which is why he says BYD sells more. Most people don't feel. Also, BYD sells much cheaper cars overall in cheaper segments. When BYD tries to compete directly against Tesla, for example, the BYD Seal against a Model 3, it doesn't really beat it. I will show you some BYD Seal numbers, but keep in mind that this is no longer a purely battery electric vehicle. Last year in September, they released a hybrid version, and this year, at the end of May, they released another plug-in hybrid version. So yes, it has an actual engine that burns fossil fuels. So look, when it was purely just a battery electric vehicle, the sales in the very beginning, they started strong, and then, they were not doing that well compared to Tesla. And then when did that hybrid version was launched? September last year. The sales picked up quite a bit. And then when the next version was launched? May this year. So if you are comparing BYD to Tesla, when you look at the price segments in which they sell their vehicles, yeah, BYD cannot compete with Tesla. However, there's this other vehicle, Xiaomi SU7, which is competing with the Model 3, and the jury technically is still somewhat out. This car is doing pretty well, but the Model 3 is doing significantly better still, but it's a new car. There's a lot of hype around it, so we need to wait until the hype dies down and then see what happens to the sales of this vehicle. But that's the vehicle to watch right now if you are worried about competition. It's not hybrids from BYD that you need to worry about. Sure, Cook posted a few more pictures of Tesla testing a new FSD version. It's unclear if some of these vehicles are hardware 3 or not. Maybe it's just a new release overall that Tesla is testing, but clearly Tesla is testing something new with FSD. And this is clearly for Cybertruck. There was one more here. Also, it looks like there's a Cybertruck in China with an actual license plate that has been successfully registered as a regular vehicle that you can use on the road. So a shout out goes to whoever bought that Cybertruck. It must have been pretty hard to do it. The owner has imported the vehicle independently and completed the compliance inspection. Yeah, that's definitely impressive. And in China, it's getting a lot of attention on social media. It'll probably help Tesla with a few sales in China, Model 3 and the Model Y as well. And here's a comparison of the new 20-core Cybertruck wheels and aero cover that Tesla put on the online configurator last night versus the original Cybertruck cover. So you can see original and then the new ones. Okay, well, I do like the originals, definitely better, but these are okay too. Oh, but these new wheels give you 22 more miles of range. Okay, now I like these wheels a lot more. Yeah, the old wheels definitely look cooler, but the new wheels will be a lot more practical for pretty much everyone. There's a lot of talk out there right now on X about the Cybertruck and, for example, how the range could be much higher because you need to use the Cybertruck for work. But interestingly, most pickup truck buyers are lifestyle buyers. 80% of pickup trucks are bought for personal use only and not work. 7% of truck owners frequently tow, 29% occasionally tow, and 63% rarely or never tow. Most pickup trucks are used for shopping, running errands, etc. A lot of people act like lifestyle buyers don't make the majority of all pickup sales. Most people that buy gas pickup trucks are lifestyle buyers, and the same is true for Cybertruck, and that's fine. This is a survey of F-150 owners over the years, and you can clearly see the results here. More Americans drive pickup trucks, but not for work. As you can see, 42 million personal use only, and 10 million are used for work. And you can also clearly see this just by looking at the current pickup trucks. Look at how big the bed is versus the cab. The cab takes more space than the bed. And that wasn't always the case. The more back you go, the bigger the beds get. For example, in 1997, the bed and the cab were the same size. You go back to 1980s and here you go, the bed is now 60% of the whole car. In 1970s, the bed was 64% of the whole car. The bed was actually huge. So relatively speaking, back then there weren't so many pickup trucks used for personal use only. And Cybertruck is great for both. It will, especially as the range increases over the years, it will become an even better work truck. And right now, it's a great lifestyle truck. Here's the super famous basketball player Shaq ordering another Cybertruck. He already has one. He's ordering another one for his other location because he likes it so much. I mean, he's definitely not using it for work, is he? And you don't see these famous musicians like Pharrell and Justin Bieber or even Kim Kardashian running around with their Cybertrucks doing construction work. They are only using it to construct their social media image better. By the way, if you don't like these new Cybertruck wheels, if you just take the cover off, they actually, I think, look pretty good. Tesla also launched a new accessory for the Cybertruck. It's a Cybertruck cooler. All right, that's pretty cool. Oh, by the way, that person that bought the Cybertruck in China paid 3 times the regular price. Okay, well, this is pretty promising. Someone just spent 2.5 hours of hands-free driving on the 12.5.1.3. I feel like Tesla's just gonna keep extending the point releases. So we're gonna have 10 points here. Mostly in downtown Nava. Flawless drive, and I only touched the wheel to park. I love how FSD is smart enough to take advantage of a pedestrian obstructing the path of the oncoming car with the right of way to shoot the gap. Exactly the correct move. Oh, and one last thing he said. The bears are not gonna do well. Yeah, so 2.5 hours of driving hands-free in a downtown area, not just like some simple, easy, super easy city. Downtown. Okay, 2.5 hours, that's pretty good. It's not a big city though, it's pretty small, but still, it's fairly impressive. Well, I cannot say I didn't see this one coming, but it's still quite something to actually see it happening. Cybertruck for the military unveiled by Unplugged Tesla. Can withstand up to 14.5mm rounds. Uses Starlink. Available for pre-order now. Well, this literally pretty much is a tank, isn't it? It's called Sting. I like the name. Wait, what? It's also engineered for civilian use? Okay, well, these billionaires that anticipate the end of the world, I think they are going to be buying these cars. I cannot believe that Wall Street Journal actually ran this story. Cybertruck buyers get unusual surprise. A brand new truck delivered with dirt and mud on a Cybertruck. They are really running out of fun stories. Now, how bad is it? Can you see mud? I can see maybe a bit of dirt, but can you see mud? Doesn't seem that bad. Anyway, to me, this seems a bit more bullish because if they're complaining about that kind of stuff, there's nothing to really complain about anymore. Something's happening to Rivian here. Rivian has temporarily suspended production of its commercial delivery vans used by Amazon due to a shortage of parts, a Rivian spokesperson said today. This reminds me a little bit of some of the companies still blaming COVID supply chain issues this year for their low sales. This is a bit sus. They were rather short on details, but they did say we expect to recover all missed production. Well, investors are not liking what they're seeing today with Rivian. It's down almost 4% as I'm recording this video. Now look at this and tell me which company in the future is facing a bit more of a pickle. You can see that Tesla sales are comprised of just 2 models here. BYD is generating 33% more revenue with 18 models compared to Tesla's 2 models. What do you think will happen if when Tesla adds 2 or 3 or 4 more models eventually? It's not going to be pretty for BYD. This is specifically China EV sales. And the direct Model 3 competitor, Seal, where is it? No, that's a Sea Lion. That's a different car. No. Okay, is that it? I think this one is it. Seal. Right here. That's a direct competitor to the Model 3. Comparing the pure BEV, the Seal model, to the Model 3, it's not even a close comparison when you look at the revenue. And keep in mind, this is specifically just China EV sales. If you look at the global scale, it's gonna look much worse because many countries don't want BYD cars, but they welcome Tesla. Honestly, it seems like someone finally found a good use for a hydrogen car. The forces in this part of the world claim to have used the tank from a Toyota Mirai hydrogen car to blow up an enemy position. Wow. But likely this is fun because probably there was no place to fill up the tank. This likely wouldn't be good for Waymo. The US Justice Department is considering a rare move to break up Google. The move would be Washington's first push to dismantle a company for illegal monopolization in 20 years. Funding for Waymo would probably be a little bit more difficult if this happened. So the CEO of Porsche did an interview and he was asked, why did the Taycan sales dropped by 50% in the first half of the year? You can see the drop is big. He explains it's not because of the product. Supposedly they made huge improvements to the product, but before we heard commitments from Porsche to not discount their vehicles, not lower prices, and this is the result. Ooh, what do you think would have happened to Tesla sales if Tesla did not discount? Now that's something to think about. But now that you can buy this, who wants to buy a Taycan? I think I would. I think many people would much rather prefer a Cybertruck over a Taycan, at least in North America. This is something really impressive. Chinese electric vehicle maker Zeekr, which is controlled by Geely, just showcased their new in-house designed ultra-fast charging LFP battery installed on its new 007 sedan. It charges from 10 to 80% in 10 minutes. Adds 300 miles of range in 15 minutes, 472 kilowatt peak charging speed achieved in the video below. Tesla's vehicles currently can achieve 250 for comparison, so that's pretty impressive. And Zeekr's new V3 fast chargers are rated for up to 800 kilowatt charging speeds. The battery is 75 kilowatt hours. What's also interesting is that Zeekr said that the new battery can achieve the same charge performance even in negative 10 degrees Celsius, 14 degrees Fahrenheit weather in 30 minutes using its charger. So it slows down, but it's still all right. Deliveries with this battery will begin starting next week. The car starts at $30,000 per car. All right. So if you want fast charging, this seems to be pretty impressive. I wonder how well the battery will hold up due to these fast charging times, but certainly the battery tech is moving forward. This means if this technology actually works and there are no major downsides, Tesla will also figure this out and will have something similar to offer. And charging from 10% to 80% in 10 minutes, that's pretty good. I think Dylan makes some good points here. Been thinking a lot about Tesla's pace of innovation and product releases lately. I don't talk much about it on the channel because people aren't that interested in China, but their product release cadence paired with price cuts is wild. I think he's talking about the Chinese market, specifically the competitors. I know many people believe Tesla has lost a step. I think we find out in 2025. And then of course, FSD progress is much more important than moving the metal. But for 2025, Tesla has an insane year planned. We will see the Model Y refresh, at least one next generation vehicle beginning production, Roadster entering production probably, although that one may get delayed because it's not that important to Tesla. Volume semi-production beginning by the end of the year. That one's likely. Cybertruck ramping and hitting volume production. That's pretty much guaranteed. Keep in mind, even just the new Model Y changeover is going to be very difficult with 4 factories producing the Model Y globally. The Model 3 refresh was challenging with just 2 factories. Also, Tesla is going to be attempting to pull this off with a materially reduced headcount. And then there's Optimus, which also should be produced on a small scale next year. Do we think there will be delays and the 2025 schedule won't go as planned, or are we about to break out of this in between growth wave, lull in spectacular fashion next year? I think this makes the most sense both. Some projects will take longer, others will surprise, but the end result will be substantial progress in the long term. That's it for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. By joining Patreon, you will have access to all of my exclusive videos on Patreon, as well as how much I am willing to pay for each Tesla share between 2024 and 2033. If you join the investor tier, you will also have access to my valuation model, where you will see all of my assumptions, including deliveries, the energy business, Tesla's future businesses like FSD, and of course much more. And then if you want to easily download that and put in your own numbers, then this third tier is for you. To all of my Patreon supporters, thank you so much. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't yet as well. It's really important to like the videos because that makes it less likely that the channel will be shadow banned later, like my other big channel got shadow banned before from about 50% of my regular viewers. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.